That's right, folks. It's another late night and time for another reach into the Just Giggle It grab bag. And tonight uh, we're pulling out Becoming, the 2015 Hollywood Redux short, much acclaimed, won a number of awards, very nice. What the blazes? This isn't even a Just Giggle It sketch. What's going on here? What's the
It's not
meaning of
even a
that?
comedy, Dragon.
Let me
This
let's
goes
look at
against all fundamental rules of the grab bag.
let me look at this thing here. Okay, give me a second. Katie, it's another Katie Garland sketch. Oh God, Tiki, Tiki, where are you, Tiki?
I'm here, Dragon. I'm here.
Tiki, Tiki. It's another Katie Garland sketch. It's the third time. It's another Katie Garland sketch. And this one isn't even more Just Giggle It sketch. Do you realize what this means?
Dragon, it's worse than we thought. It's worse than we thought, Dragon. Katie Garland has ascended beyond the mere realms of just Giggle It. Dragon, it's the Kate-Ening.
The Kate-Ening.
Kate-Ening.
The Kate-Ening.
Oh boy. What do we do, Dragon? What do we do?
What do we do? Well, we talk about it, of course.
Points to anyone who gets that reference.
Okay, so melodrama aside, that's right, folks. We're commemorating the wonderful Just Giggle player that we all know and love, and we've come to theme a whole season after.
Katie's watching that's like, why are they making mine so dramatic? What did I do? They're like treating my arrival like the end of the world or something.
Don't look at it as the end of the world. Look at it as like, it's a big deal. Oh yes, we're celebrating Katie Mary Garland, the wonderkin of Just Giggle, as I've kind of deemed her, kind of the grand safety net, the ultimate scene partner of Just Giggle.
That's right, Michael Keaton. You need safety nets.
But yeah, yes. So this is the third. Essentially, this is kind of our final. This is kind of our final sketch that we are covering. This is a very unique one at that. This one again.
Let's be respectful here, Brad. This isn't a sketch. This is a short film.
I mean, yes, true. I'm just saying they themselves are kind of viewed. Sure. The point is, this is the third video, video or short of any variety that we've covered for this season. And of course, we'll lead into kind of us sitting down with Katie Garland herself. We're going to be kind of chatting her ear off, kind of getting some stories, getting some yarns, if you will, kind of learn from the lady herself. Just kind of better about kind of like adventures, rises, falls, stakes, all that. Kind of the meeting of the big three letters, JGI, how it all happens. We're going to learn that. Also, we're going to field your questions to her, folks. You leave your questions in the comments of the video, in any of the other Katie Garland themed videos, or on the Discord page. Leave it on the Just Giggle It Grab Bag Discord page, or the Twitter page on So You Want to Be Imagineer. Basically, the acronym it's followed by 1955. And we will relay your questions, or you can just join us live, and we'll feed those to her. We'll hit her with the live questions directly from the audience. We'll shout you out, and we'll get those questions answered. And again, just kind of learn.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so Dragon, let's get into our thesis statements revolving this short. Now, Dragon, here's the thing. Of course, I probably should have gone over this with you off air, but do we want to approach this like, Dragon? I kind of feel like we should. Of course, there's a link in the description to this short film for anyone who wants to see it, and I recommend you watch it before you listen to this. Dragon, I think we should just go balls to the wall spoilers with this one. And basically, like, address the big twist right from the get-go. And Dragon, the only reason I say that is because watching it a second time, it really just kind of like changes the way. Like, Dragon, this one hit me, man. Like, I want to let you know that. Like, this one, it got to me on a pretty deep level. And I have like this is very much like it kind of reminds me of like it's got like a David Fincher vibe going on, Dragon. This one like whetted my David Fincher thirst. And I don't know, Dragon, like to me, like I feel like the ending, I feel like there's at least 2 or 3 different reads on the ending that I can give you. And I feel like it'd be valuable, but it's totally your call in the end. But for me, I feel like it'd be valuable to kind of frame the conversation around the ending and what it means in each scene.
Well, I mean, I was just going to be vague and kind of tease it up a little as we go forward, but I mean, might as well just kind of, I guess, if you really want to, you just kind of address it. Because here's the thing, here's the fascinating thing. On a rewatch, I found that I did a little bit of research. I kind of found out that the ending is, well, the ending I think is kind of, as many things are up to interpretation. With that reveal, it's not exactly clear cut. It is for the interpretation. I mean, the direct interpretation I think is the one that stands out most prominently. I think gives the short a lot of legs to stand on. That's the one I'm more likely to cling to. But beyond that, you can read it as it may or may not be, because again, this reveal kind of disappears and it kind of leaves you wondering, like, is it in her head or not? So,
Dragon, I feel like I mean, we'll get into it, but my pet theory, and I did see this one in the comments for the video, and I kind of latched onto it, is that I feel like what we see, the man, if you will, is the character's mental representation of her insecurities and fears regarding the relationship. And this thing is deep, man.
Absolutely, this is so becoming.
I mean, Dragon, I can't emphasize it enough. Like, just Giggle It, the grab bag started with, it's like, I feel like this is like another end game for us, my friend, because it's like, think about it. The grab bag started with Pretty Flowers and the live action Pokemon parody.
Yep.
And now we're here. Now we're talking about something that's literally won awards, and we're going to be talking to the star of this short film, this award-winning short film, next week. Dragon, I feel like the grab bag's come a long way, man. I'm kind of beaming on this one, and it's like, I'm just saying, like, just Giggle It, the grab bag format in general has been breaking down comedy, so I'm excited, man. I'm excited. We're going to be doing a Red Letter Media style breaking new ground.
It broke new ground.
And for the first time in the Just Giggle It grab bag, we're going to be analyzing a psychological thriller as opposed to a comedy sketch.
True. Well, again, the closest thing we've done to that on the grab bag, I guess, was watching you. I mean, it's the closest thing we've kind of gotten to really kind of stepping a little bit out.
Is more kind of like a dramedy.
Yeah, and of course that one's kind of a little tricky. It's a pilot kind of separated into parts, which that's
right.
Kind of pretty. There's that one really dramatic episode, of course.
Sure, that's true.
But again, that's kind of a section of the
really dramatic episode was probably the closest that we've come to this.
Pretty much.
All right. So, Dragon, just really quick on I've got a lot to say about this one, man. I mean, this might be one of the times where I might talk circles around you. I'll try not to, but this one hit me right in the core. It really did. Dragon, I have let's just say, folks, we had a lot of fun with the last sketch we did. Dragon, what was the last sketch? Tell the folks.
I'm sorry, I was trying to remember back here. The last one that we did specifically was Chillin' and Grillin'. That's the one we did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was hoping for a tell the folks, and then you'd come on immediately with "We're chilling and grilling."
Oh, well.
That's what I was hoping for, Dragon.
That was kind of an ask, though. It was kind of an ask. I really expected
Chillin' and grilling.
Chillin' and Grillin'.
So, Dragon, and Chillin' and Grillin', that podcast, we explored Tiki's drug habits. Dragon, in this podcast, let me just lay down the Infinity Gauntlet, if you will. The Infinity Gauntlet.
Okay, now you have my attention. What do you got?
And in this podcast, we're going to be exploring Tiki's relationship issues.
See, here's the thing, Tiki. This whole season was just specifically chosen, engineered by Mark Sipka. I'll remind you, Mark Sipka. This is Mark Sipka's elaborate plan to pick your brain. It was his revenge on
Oh my
us
God,
for
yeah,
interviewing
yeah,
him and picking his brain on things. He's going to pick Tiki's brain this season.
Like, he's done the research, like, okay, they haven't done chillin' and grillin', and I know that Tiki's from Northern California. He's probably a stoner. Yes, I am. What can I say?
Because, you know, we got into a little bit of politics with the first one. We got into, you know,
Right,
you
right.
can't, you know, with you can't say that. Oh, sorry, sorry, it's the it's the. All right, it was you can't do that. Sorry, you can't do that. Children growing now becoming.
Oh man, okay, Dragon. Goddamn. Oh, Dragon. This is like, folks. I'm sorry. Like, this is probably going to be one of the more candid podcasts that I've done in a while. Dragon. Let me just say, like, the narrator of this short film, Dragon, it's everything I don't want to be. And it scares the shit out of me how close I am to it sometimes without going over the edge. And Dragon, I feel like this short is like very unnerving, both from a male and female point of view. I could see how it could totally be unnerving to a female point of view, you know, in terms of like the vulnerability of being in the situation like that, and especially with the stalker angle that we get at the end, whether, you know, metaphorical or real, you know, that's up for interpretation. But Dragon, from a male point of view, and of course we're gonna have to pick Katie's brain about this one. But from a male's point of view, Dragon, this is all about just like you know, Dragon, you and I were on a Barry high, folks. If you're not watching Barry, you should be watching Barry. But Dragon, this is all about toxic masculinity.
You know, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's about
That's
that.
really what it boils down to. And Dragon, it's like it's so interesting. Like, I'm trying not to get too personal. I'm trying not to give too many details about my dating life here. You won't get like really personal stories like you got on the 420 episode. I'm sorry, but Dragon, you know the details of my last relationship, and you know that I jumped too fast too soon into that one, and that I was like, you know, when I got into that one, I was like, oh my god, hooray! It's like all working out. It's like clockwork, and I was just like, I got into the deep end too quickly, Dragon, without revealing the end game of that one end game.
You know, we can't just use Endgame just to make things sound more important, Tiki.
That's what I'm saying. But Dragon, you know, it's like that's what kind of hit me. That's what kind of hit me with this one. It's like it's a guy going on what he perceives to be a really good first date that would ultimately lead to you know, maybe him taking things a little bit too far, rushing into things, you know, not planning things through. And Dragon, it's like you know, as someone who definitely struggles with anxiety and you know, other mental things that I don't want to get into on this podcast, you know, it really hits me, man. It really hits me because it's like I like Dragon. I like to think of myself as, you know, I don't have the nice guy syndrome, but I like to think of myself as like, you know, I'm not a jerk, right? You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I am not a jerk. Like if I was in a relationship, I'd like to think that I would treat the woman with respect and I would treat her right. Like, at the end of the day, like, that's what it comes down to. Like, I wouldn't be a jerk about things. And so, just you know, just seeing this where it's like the slippery slope of you know, coming across as a nice guy and having good intentions, and how those good intentions can go so wayward so quickly. Dragon, goddamn, this thing got under my skin. I mean, as you can tell, like I said, I'm sorry. It's like this is kind of what it feels like when you talk about Captain America, Dragon. It's like I've got like tons of stuff to say about this one. I have to unpack this thing, man. This is some deep stuff here, man.
Right.
All right, so I'm sorry, Dragon. What did you think of Becoming?
So I guess overall, you know, it becomes something really special. It feels very deserving of an award in many capacities, and just I think mainly got to bear in mind. I don't know exactly what the the online film festival really kind of looks at what it entails and what kind of the panel of judges is for that. I'd like to assume they're kind of looking at all facets on that one, like, like story, visual, because basically on a visual level, I would give this thing an award instantly. Because visually, this thing is shot beautifully.
Dragging the music.
Yes, and the music. The music is
right.
We have.
Great. Don't get me wrong. The visuals look professional. Like,
oh no, you're right though. The score is also.
I don't use the Fincher comparison lightly, and the visuals are a part of that. But the music really got under my skin, man.
The point is, there are a lot of elements at play. They're working very succinctly and very just perfection, one could say. And I feel becoming is something I just kind of went into blind. I just kind of went to there's something kind of drawing me to this. Of course, the reason we picked Becoming was basically I went to basically I was kind of looking at kind of what Katie Garland's bona fide was, just kind of some other things she's appearing outside of just because unfortunately again by happenstance we've kind of covered a lot of the stuff with Katie, a lot of the big stuff with Katie Garland already in the past seasons of the Grab Bag, which kind of left us with some neat stuff that we like. Of course, like You Can't Do, that was a big one with her that we covered first out of the gate, and then we kind of.
I mean, hence the safety net, Dragon, right? Because like Katie Garland's always there, like as a great supporting player.
And that's the thing. Like there are other great Katie Garland sketches, but again, like sketches she appears in that we've covered through. Like, again, there's always again she's the perfect scene partner. She's the ultimate scene partner. But again, the safety net ultimate scene partner using the Barry comparison, I suppose.
A very generous scene partner.
Very generous scene partner, absolutely. And not only
Barry, I'm sorry.
Not only does she bring that to the fray here, she basically what we do with Katie Garland here, we see her silent yet pivotal. She
silent yet. I'm glad you brought that up before we get into it because holy crap, man, that's it's so impressive. It's so impressive. It's 8 minutes of the camera just totally stuck on her. And the narration is, we don't hear a word from her. It's entirely in her facial expressions. And honestly, the narration is like the ultimate, like, unreliable narrator. You know what I mean? It's like we can't take the narrator's word at face value about what's going through her head. So it's all left up to interpretation. It's all left up to these, like, subtle ticks and subtle quirks that she gives and Dragon. It's just a stunning work, and I'm so glad you picked it because it really does kind of represent just how talented this woman is, even without saying a word. It's truly I'm so glad. I really think it rounds out the season in a really great way.
See, basically, this piece is so nuanced. What it does, again, in playing Katie Garland silent, is kind of going the silent approach with kind of the main action that's going on, but especially her being kind of, again, everything is focused on her within the narration, within everything that's going on. Basically, what we do here, again, examining kind of Katie Garland, the actress, through Just Giggle and everything, is kind of what we've been doing for the whole season here, is that we basically take Katie Garland and we kind of boil her down to an actor's essence. If you want to see an actor's true merit, you take away all the tools of dialogue and such, and you see how they act silently. Basically, it's always a chance because always the question is always the fear of boredom in film and in television, but also just acting, even if it's on a stage. It's always an actor being silent. There's always the risk of being bored seeing an actor just think. But again, making that compelling, making that kind of capturing the thought processes and kind of capturing just kind of like being enamored with somebody, and again playing with that aspect. You're kind of becoming enamored by your lead protagonist, and again to the point where it kind of tricks you, the audience. Like some of the best narratives are the narratives that kind of pull the wool over your eyes as an audience member. Where basically you're laid into the trap of the unreliable narrator, where he's somebody who again starts off in kind of romantic, complimentary place. And then there's like a twinge of something that's building throughout. And then, of course, very soon, definitely by the middle, but even a little bit before that, you can kind of see shades of, okay, this is coming from a good place. But then you start to look at it from another angle, like, okay, this is kind of developing into something a little unhealthy. And then it develops into something kind of menacing. And then, of course, you can't quite tell, are we supposed to feel menaced by this? Are we in her perspective? Or are we, or again, is it reaching people that are in his perspective? Or again, the cautionary tales of people who could fall into his perspective. Again, it's reaching a lot of, it's attaching itself to a lot of perspectives there. And I think that's a really smart choice. All of that, again, through the performance being conveyed silently, and again, just kind of we're projecting a lot of this onto her silent performance. That again, it's like questioning, how much of this is she factoring into it? How innocent is she in all this? Like, how is she, like how fearful is she in this versus how kind of like unaware, oblivious to things are there? And again, there's a truth to that story, and I think that really comes across. And again, to me, the big thing that jumps out at me is all of that, basically what I just said there, kind of fits into the becoming title. Or it's the idea of something positive or something in one way becoming something else, kind of the evolution of a feeling.
Yeah, right.
So again, this is the evolution of a feeling, basically the first date evolving into something else, or basically the endless potential of what a first date can bring. And on rewatch, again, this kind of scene, kind of what I believe some of the intent is that, I believe the intent's supposed to be, I think, like in the cell line of the thing, it's that you're experiencing a young woman on a date and the anxiety that it entails, implying that a lot of this could be factored into her head. Again, it's up to the audience to really decide, but there's a question of if our narrator is fully just a personification of the anxieties of a woman going on their first date with just someone she hasn't known, or for all we know, as this to me implies, she's maybe had some unlucky romance in the past, perhaps like that's kind of haunting her in the literal sense or the figurative sense, and there's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff there. Question of like how much perceived threat versus like an actual threat is following this. Anyway, overall, I'm definitely feeling becoming. I think is just it's tremendous. But in terms of the background, and I don't know a whole lot here, but I just want to kind of highlight a little bit of background. We just dive right in.
Go ahead.
All right, so this was written and directed by Catherine Katie, basically Katie for short, but I think she just goes by Katie. Point is, Katie D. Muller, or I think it's Muller. Spelled with a no, so it's a little tricky because I'm there. I think the point is like Katie D. Muller, and this is released through a Hollywood Redux. Now, Hollywood Redux apparently they've done a series of shorts, podcasts, and really they're kind of an indie crew. That's kind of their stamp. They're about kind of indie filmmaking. That's kind of the gist of. That's kind of the connecting rod for all the stuff they do. Very indie focused. And I think that definitely translates through the work they provided for us here. And this one at the Online Film Festival in November of 2015. It was they were filming this in May, so again, it shows you a decent turnaround, decent production turnaround. They shot this in LA, of course, definitely a connection to Just Giggle, where they're filming a lot of their stuff. And the excellent score, was done by Michael Wise, I believe. Yes, Michael Wise did the score here. It's quite stunning. And again, just definitely ushers, again, with silence, you have to compensate in other aspects and other avenues. We do that visually, we do that with the score. And we also have like a song at the very end during the credits, which I believe that, here's the thing, I think it's the director singing it. Every time I try to get clarification, see, the director and the star are both named Katie. No, I don't think this is Katie Garland singing. This is maybe something you clarified, but I'm pretty sure it's the director singing the song during the credits. A Little Bird. Sure, Kevin Walktel loves Little Bird, but anyway, moving past that. That's for those Rex Lynn fans out there.
It's so long until that show comes back.
All right, so as I said, again, this is kind of a short that highlights Katie Garland as the safety net, as kind of the performance that kind of lifts, again, the tide that lifts all ships. It's kind of the safety net kind of tide that is Katie Garland, not the storm, but the rising afterwards, if you will.
Sure.
All that said, let's just dive right into becoming. Hopefully, you've seen this, folks. This is probably going to be all teasy and just maybe kind of spoil some stuff. There's a lot of perspectives, a lot of ways you can interpret it. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, let's start breaking it down.
All right.
Okay. I'd like to start us off.
Okay, let's see. So we start with just kind of some weird perspectives. Some hazy. I want to say they're like traffic lights, just as the credits are rolling.
It's out of focus, and right off the bat, again, it seems like these are seen from people far away. Again, it's a far away view, which again, like that's a really great thing, especially on a rewatch, that you have the perspective of. But a lot of these shots are framed from a distance, and I think that's intentional for the ultimate reveal.
Yeah, exactly. So then, as we get into focus, we see a striking shot of Katie Garland in a blue dress standing at street corner. We get that great music going off, that kind of chilling piano score. She's kind of like waiting, sort of
She's
Just
very vulnerable.
yeah, just fumbling with her hands. Looks very nervous.
Of course, again, I love just the contrast in the color too, like the bright blue dress, the pink, the kind of warm pink bag.
Oh
But
yeah.
again, she's alone and under that street light. She's in a very precarious situation. Like if that date doesn't meet up again, it's like anyone just being kind of alone at night. It's like the fact is it's a date at night too. That's always a little imposing as well. And she just can't with. So a man walks up behind her. So again, there's a lot of again. I think we're factoring. There's a lot of again. The anxiety can definitely be translated through like just you're waiting there and hoping. You're again. For all we know, it could be a blind date. For all we know, which is going to make it even more uncertain. But the guy walks up. Um, the guy. So the guy walks up, and they banter. Basically it's kind of little meet, kind of the meet cute banter. Like, oh yes, we're going on a blind date, or we're going on a date. What do you want to do with that? What do you want to do? That sort of stuff.
Hey, Patrick, what do you want to do today? I don't know, SpongeBob. What do you want to do today?
Anyway,
I'm
so
so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's one of my favorite SpongeBob gags, and I saw an opening.
so what I viewed the DK. I tell me if I'm crazy with this. To me, I view
Yeah.
maybe the choice. Maybe I guess I viewed the choice of like not having the dialogue is that again we have a situation that again it's like the old familiar trappings that you and anyone else watching can factor their own interactions or their own kind of experiences with this sort of thing onto what the dialogue would be, which is another reason we kind of strip it out.
Yeah, that's a good call, Dragon. That's definitely a good call because I mean, as I said, I can definitely relate to this sort of situation, and wanting to be wanting to be the guy that's in good but not sure, not sure if I'm doing the right thing. And like I said, Dragon, I feel like that's kind of the suspense of it for me, at least. It's kind of like the at what point do you take your affection too far? At what point do you let your emotions get the better of you, and can you control that?
So also we have Chris. I believe it's Chris Gaucho. I'm saying Gaucho because I really hope it's pronounced like Gaucho because I think it's an awesome last name. But it's either Gaucho or it has basically an e at the end of Gaucho. So point being,
Mhm.
I'm thinking the whole Walt Mel Grupo thing with all that. But anyway, so point is, this actor again. He seems like again the Gaucho here. He does seem like again. He seems like a personal guy. Just before we even have the dogs, basically Gaucho here is for all intents and purposes our red herring through the piece. He's he's the date, of course, and we're seeing this unfold. So we can't really take out of account what he's doing, but at the same token, again, we perceive he's our narrator. We have a great kind of shift in perspective where he may not,
Yeah,
he may,
exactly.
he could be our narrator. By the same token, I think it's likely the case that he is not our narrator. So so let's see. So let's see after the little meet up here. I'm sorry,
The credits don't make it clear, do they?
sorry, what?
I said the credits don't make it clear who the narrator is, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Ooh, spooky.
Very spooky. Which, by the way, I wanted another thing that kind of dawned on
Very
me when we
creepy.
right.
Go ahead.
The thing that
Sorry.
occurred to me when we were when I was rewatching this was there's definitely kind of a connect to another very popular, hilarious Just Giggle sketch that we did cover. There's a lot of "You Don't Deserve This" in it. Didn't you get a little bit watching this? Like,
Oh God.
it's like again like another. I love that we have a comedy sketch that celebrates like all the qualities of Katie Garland as well, and again as a potential romantic partner, and that's what the whole thing's about. Like you Ponzi is saying you don't deserve this. You can't handle this. You can't date this. That's kind of what that whole thing's about. Now we're kind of seeing that same idea, but through a more dramatic, more artsy perspective. It's not just Poncio just doing wacky, hilarious things and making Friends references. Pivot, we're. But earlier on, Tiki, you laid out a comparison. You laid out what the narration reminded you of. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on it at the moment here, but for me, I got you know what the biggest thing was going through my mind while I was watching all this. I got a Dr. Manhattan vibe with the narration. Sounds so much like the scene in Watchmen where John Osterman is talking about he's basically perceiving time all simultaneously, going through his origin, meeting meeting Laurie, all that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, considering the different perceptions that we have of, and how vague it is.
I mean, just kind of like the guy had kind of a Billy Crudup kind of voice going on there as well, which is kind of like how soft spoken the narration. Again, soft spoken, yet again, kind of passionate the narration is. I don't know, I got a little bit of
Are
a
you kidding me,
Dr.
man?
Manhattan.
Crudup is the king of soft spoken narration. Have you seen Big Fish?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. So, oh man, I'm sorry. I just remember now. I wanted to make a Big Fish reference in Endgame when we talked about it, but I couldn't.
Wait, what was
Anyway.
what was the Big Fish
Well, I
reference?
can't tell. That'll be a spoiler if I say
Oh, okay.
what the
I'm
Big
sorry.
Fish reference. You know what it is anyway. So, let's see. So again, I believe. Okay, so we had the whole assumption of the narrator in the eternal monologue. Beyond that, okay. Is there anything with the first narration? Usually, what's the first line? Oh yeah, so she's not someone you notice right away.
Dragon, can I just say the writing in this is just exquisite and feels like poetry in some spots.
It is great, yes, and I definitely again it has that thing where that's the trap, man, and it gets you in there like as if you were our main female in this. If you were again, Katie Garland has kind of an unnamed character going on here, so they don't want to say Katie Garland is specifically going through this, but her character's going through this. But again, it's the trap of again.
You sounded Dragon like, yeah, folks, that's what's going on here. Katie Garland specifically.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though, right? It's the fact that
yeah, I hear you.
And that's the interesting thing to hear that again we're being enticed. We're hearing these pretty very poetic words, and again it's kind of feeding into my I'm a sucker for the romantic, and of course of course we're getting ready for some other stuff here. Definitely getting some Wilson Fisk vibes, like oh my god, speaking you're so passionately about love and everything. And of course, then we have the threatening twinge, like okay, now we're going somewhere. And again, it's like, am I crazy? I'm feeling a little threatened here with this, and I'm like, okay, no, I don't think I'm that crazy after all.
Right.
All right. But again, we have it's really good inner monologue, really good what we think is inner monologue, really good narration here. So she's not someone you'd notice right away. She's someone you'd pick out of a crowd in a sea of bodies.
Mm-hmm.
She blends in, but I see her. Again, I love the specific word choice of "I see her" being given what's happening, that someone's watching her. So I see her being that. So that's really good. Kind of the repetitive theme throughout the whole thing of all the dialogue kind of ends in it's almost like a Frank Miller repeating the dialogue thing. Like I see her. It's just it's like
good Frank Miller. Good Frank Miller.
Well, or fine. I was just the Tom King's always goes. Just say it's like a Tom King thing.
All right.
Anyway, so he's just pristine, simply beautiful. Her movements are elegant. Her makeup barely there. We see the couple going for a walk. They're going for food, which leads to the hot dog cart. And again, what this is really doing is we're kind of playing off again. Katie Garland, again, as we explore deeply in you don't deserve this again, like that whole thing's to point out you don't deserve all the nice qualities about her, and it's kind of so this guy's kind of going on a love. It's almost like Big Fan
for sure.
It's almost like Big Fan with Patton Oswalt. It's almost like again, it's just like utter love letter to somebody. It's a fixation. It's just developing, and the fires it's from kindling to blazing fire. It's just like, oh man, it's just going down a rabbit hole here. It's as if Tiki and I were tasked with writing a love letter for Vera Farmiga. That's pretty much what it's like.
Oh man! Oh, don't ask me to ever do that, Dragon.
Oh, it'd be easy, right?
All right.
Anyway.
So I have the next set of lines. If you want me to go after the
please.
Yeah, they're just kind of walking down the street.
Well, they're also chowing down these giant hot dogs too.
All right. Unmarred by debris from rage, undirtied by the sorry. Got totally
the ash of jealousy.
Hold on, sorry, I got totally distracted. Okay, unmarred from the debris of rage, undirtied by the ash of jealousy, unstained by power. She's no use for these things. That does not make her weak.
We have this Orson Welles shot here. It's like a Citizen Kane. I know it's going to sound like you're comparing to Citizen Kane. What's wrong with you? But no, seriously, we do a thing from like Orson Welles and Citizen Kane. What he would do for these shots. I guess now it's a lot more commonplace, but it's a really good technique. It's where he would use
perspective shots.
Yeah, it's the old perspective. We go from like the floor down. It's kind of what we do here. We see from the street, like the little potted plant area down.
Okay, so she possesses a strength, an inner strength, an invisible sunlight within her shining outward.
Okay, real quick. I love the one. I love this thing she's doing in her performance here. Where she's grabbing her bag, and I think again this is a clue to me that she's grabbing her bag, and the bag is kind of a symbol. They really kind of have this up in a few posters in the marketing, like her red or pink bag. That she's fidgeting around with things, and like again, we're framing things like there's a figure, like she's ready for a figure around the corner because it's so great on a rewatch because as she's walking down the street. She does this every time we have like there's like a guy kind of sitting on the corner. She clutches her bag. I think she has like pepper spray or something in her bag.
Dragon, you see that right there? That's some Fincher directing. I mean that is like a level of detail.
And by the way, it's really cold when they shot all this. By the way, in case you're wondering, they're all wearing jackets and all the behind the scenes. Like, oh man, it must have been really cold.
Right, so I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm kind of having I'm kind of insecure about if this is all word for word or not. But basically, he's talking about when he's close to her, her light warms me and he feels renewed.
A good line. Again, I love how basically what's happening here in kind of the narration here is that the longer he spans around here, the more again the perception. Initially, your first pass, you're thinking, okay, a guy is falling head over heels in love way too fast. Again, it's a first date becoming like a lifelong kind of love fest.
Exactly. And which as I said, folks, I've been on that side of it, and it's kind of scary to relive it in this kind of perspective. Like David Fincher is basically saying, like, "See, Tiki, this is what it felt like to her."
And that's the thing. So again, in one way of looking at it, you do have absolutely there's a truth to again like just like a first day, basically kind of building up unrealistic expectations after one date. It's almost the age-old Disney philosophy: you can't marry a man you just met. It's like one of those things. It's like you're buying the house before you've even proposed. That sort of thing. It's like one of those things. It's and again, the fact that but again, it's like he's kind of winning you over in that how seriously he's taking this. But by the same token, again, it's going to get like so far, it's still, I guess, somewhat in the romantic phrase where I'm by her and she has like a warmth and it warms me. I feel renewed. Then basically, as it goes forward and further, then it's going to get more and more like it sounds like again, it something's not clicking in a brilliant way. Where again, there is an honesty where you could buy it, kind of like a guy building unrealistic expectations. By the same token, it also sounds like somebody who's kind of known that it, again, has like a lifetime or like definitely a prior relationship with this woman. It sounds like, but again, so like something's not clicking, and that's kind of, I would argue, that's uneasiness. It's kind of creeping in. That something's not clicking here, and I don't know why. Is it the guy building unrealistic expectations, or is it something creepier?
Yeah, and of course, with the stalker reveal that we do get, the whole line about him being close to her just obviously takes on a whole new meaning.
And I like this. They go by this trumpet player, and basically they tip the guy playing the trumpet. And as this happens, he's talking about like the light warming him. I'm convinced they do like a lighting thing where basically they have like a brighter light on them in this scene. When we reverse the perspectives and we see them.
That would totally make sense. Sure.
All right. He does the coat move too. He puts the coat on her shoulders. Again, it probably was actually cold.
One of my signature moves, and it's like, oh god, is that? Again, Dragon, this whole thing is just playing around. It's just, I feel attacked here, Dragon.
We are going to get the one bit. I'm going to judge you on one bit here coming up. Give me an idea, the devious idea here. Okay, we're going to get to a certain point here. We're going to get to a cliche that we had one cliche in this thing. One that I think it's
from toxic masculinity. The question will be answered.
Yes, did Tiki give the girl a laptop? No. Sorry,
no,
very right.
I did give her like a $35 electronic dancing baby Groot, and that was probably symbolic of the laptop.
All right. Well, regardless, what we're focusing on here is that there's a cliche. I want to know if Tiki specifically did not something that's like. I wonder if he specifically did the cliche. We're gonna get there.
Okay.
We're gonna get there. I think it plays well. We'll get to it when we get to it. Like one thing I'm not super crazy about in this, but we'll get there. Okay. Anyway, so we have the coat move, and you know, and I feel how she must feel, youthful, vital, vulnerable. Which again, the tension. But to me,
Right
that's
there.
when
Kind of like, ooh, what? Say what now? Okay.
that's when the That's the signal to me. Okay, now like everything else you could read as okay, it's get away himself, but it's all romantic and kind of coming from a good place. Now we're starting. This is where it begins for me. That vulnerable line.
It begins.
I will regard her so reverently.
I will regard her so reverently.
I will keep her close and never release her. And they're holding hands.
It's like, all right, dude. All right, like the first date. Calm down, bro. Calm down. Pump the dates. Pump the brakes, man.
Again, this is where we get into like the Harley Quinn romance novel, like borderline Twilight stuff here. But again, they somehow made it work here again because again, it's commenting on it. It's not just like trying to sell it like straightforward. Again, there's an uneasiness and there's definitely a commentary on it. So I am worthy of trust. He's just building stuff. Okay, why? Okay, got it. Okay, let's pump the brakes a little here. It's just, I am worthy of your trust. I will wrap, and this is where the creepiest line of the whole thing to me is like, I will wrap my body up and around her, be a shelter for her.
Oh dear God, yeah.
I found her and she is mine. Again, like the whole. Here's the thing. I do like the whole. I will be a shelter for, and again, I know it's twist what gets us there. I'm saying out of context, like just a shelter for in terms of in a romantic capacity. Again, assuming you didn't go on the first date with her. It's like the shelter for is it's a neat line. It's kind of like you don't hear that often, but everything else is like, oh man, now we're getting kind of creepy. So I'll wrap my body up.
Kind of like it's a great sort of contrast where we have this this nice sentiment in the middle of this like revolting sentence. You know what I mean?
It's again, what gets us. That's the thing, like be a shelter for. That's a nice sentiment, but I guess getting like I'm gonna wrap my body up and around her. It's like be a shelter. Like no, don't be a literal shelter for. Just be a symbolic shelter for. Like maybe like like be a shelter in the form of a hug. Don't go that crazy with it, man. Don't. Anyways, the point being again, he's going like this, like a multiple. You can get away with this if you're in like a couple of year-long relationship, but this is where like first date, or even like even with the perception that we do get eventually, is like it's still something's not right there. I found her and she is mine. Unless you're Lupita Nyong'o talking to your adoptive cub, that line ain't gonna fly.
Oh man,
you are mine. That's rarely will that line work. Wow. So we linger, and we do this. We have this really great thing. They walk by now, and we linger on the alley after they walk past it. So again, our guy is our third player in all this. Chances are the way it's framed is waiting there, or again, it's her thinking that someone could be waiting there for them.
Or again, third option, it could be the lingering doubt she has.
Yes, that also works. Yes, lingering doubt, lingering camera. I like it.
Oh man.
I'll repay her for what she's given me. She tells me the truth and holds a mirror up to me. It's a really interesting line, holds a mirror up to me, because again, relationships do that. The time usually again, the ones that are connected. I know who I am now. I see that. I see that, though she set me free, she remains imprisoned.
Okay, that to me is maybe the biggest bit of evidence towards the narrator being the stalker, and it being an ex-boyfriend specifically is the stalker. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's a good nugget of like, oh, okay, that to me is like one of the more specific details that we get in this whole thing.
I'm gonna throw this at you. Okay. I think there's a chance, and again, there's nothing saying this couldn't happen. Again, with the stalker of it all, maybe the stalker went on a first date, and that's why he's so fixated on this first date. Could be like an Eddie Brock thing. They go on the one date, and then the fixation kind of takes hold. And he's followed her on other dates.
Oh, I like that. So yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure.
And again, perhaps whether the stalker's been a direct problem for her, or again she's always felt like someone's been watching her. Perhaps all of this factors into like why she's so anxious about going on yet another date. Perhaps she's always had that feeling.
The title is like what his relationship with her is becoming versus what her relationship with this other guy could be becoming, and his insecurity about that.
Exactly, because essentially the whole perspective narrator, whoever you deem it to be, is again someone who's deifying a person that they've either just
who the narrator is, man.
Exactly.
Anyways,
so let's see. So after the she remains in prison. The point is like again he's dictating how she's feeling now. So we have a violation in how the guys again he's deifying her to a point where he initially deifies her. He says like she's basically puts her on a Farmiga-esque level, and then we take it to a point where she's where he's then kind of judging her and he's protecting her. He himself has turned into the deity, if you follow me here. So again, initially he's deifying her, then he's like, but she's done all these kindnesses for me, like she's the saving grace, but I have to protect her. She is in prison, I have to free her in kind. He's kind of turning into like a Beauty and the Beast thing almost. So he walks. So again, basically they walk to her place. So initially, I don't know if they were about to hit a movie or something. The point is like they go to a place and we don't see what the building is opposite them. They walk to a place, and she's just kind of lingering. She's looking there, and whether that's her like saying I want to call it a night because I don't want to be out that much longer. Maybe she's having second thoughts about things. They head home, and he walks her to her place. Which again, back in the olden days, that's the gentlemanly thing to do. You walk the person to their place. Safety, safety, buddy system, all that stuff. Now, of course, it's like, well, now that person knows where you live in the day of social media and all that sort of stuff. And now it's like it's the age of like, well, now, and especially in the more direct sense, like now that person knows where you live, and people have sinister motives and sinister fixations, or just fixations that again boil from an innocent place and go from like an obsessive place. There's a lot of dangers in kind of the old courtesies these days. Would you agree?
Oh boy, yeah. Tricky.
Anyway. So we have there's a wisp of doubt.
Hold on. Let me do this line because it's
all right. Go on.
Because to me, it's like it's the best line in the. Sorry. To me, it's the best line in the whole.
It's a good one. I got you.
Okay, a wisp of doubt floats across her face, and she falters. A shadow whispers warnings, and she flees. Dragon, like I said, that is like, oh man. That's like something I would study in a poetry class in college.
Yeah, and again, of course, a lot of this, as we have it in dialogue here, again, we see the reaction that complements this perfectly on Katie Garland's face. The editor did a phenomenal job with this. The editor again is matching up kind of our dialogue along with just kind of like the miming of events so perfectly here.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's just in perfect sync. The score, the visuals, the performance, and the editing. It's all flawless. A wild thing escaping. Again, we have the great body nuance here. Is like she basically what we do here is like between the pauses of what she's doing. That's like she's kind of we see the pause and the thought crossing her mind here. Is like we have this pause of like she's walked home. And the two of them are just kind of standing there, and again, you see the thought process on her face. Where again, she just wants. She's getting cold feet on the night. There, she wants to flee. She has the shadowy whisper, the warning going on there. She wants to flee. Her instinct is to call things a night. She's making the instinctual kind of. She's got a gut feeling call. And again, but that pause, Tiki, that pause speaks volumes. The fact they're just standing out there, it's like we're capturing everything we need to. And just two people standing still. And that's I know it sounds like really simple. They're standing there. What's so impressive about it? But again, there's something there.
You will believe that two people can stand still.
And then, okay, here's the bit I want to know. Okay, here's the
oh god. Part. Okay. Oh no.
So he picks the single flower and gives it to her right in front of him.
No. I've never pulled that move. I think that move's super cheesy.
Now, look, I want to be clear here. Again, look, I think we said a lot of nice things about Becoming, but I got to be honest. And again, it does get us story-wise where we need to go here. So again, I'm not sure what they would have done.
Okay, yeah, you and I totally echo the same sentiment. Like that, like she goes gaga over it, man. It's like.
And look, I know. Here's the thing: the flower. I'm going to rant on the flower here, not just for this, just for all time. I'm going to rant on the flower move.
Oh no! Oh god! Okay.
So look, the flower move. Look. Back in the day, sure, the flower move it got places, and it's we see it all the time. It was used back in the olden days. It just permutates, and of course kids do it, and that's of course, like now they have phones, so obviously it's not going to be the same thing. The point being, the flower as a device in storytelling it's a story. It's basically just to move story forward, and that's kind of what we're doing here. I don't fault him for
Mario
it.
Falcone is listening very intently, Dragon.
Yes, he loves me. No, good, but no. No, but in all seriousness, though, it's the fact the flower does serve its purpose here, and that's why the flower is endured as a thing here. But by the same token, you kind of see, because we're looking at all these perspectives and visually how it's coming across here. It's that again we have that beautiful. I'm sorry.
Frankenstein.
No, it's not. No, Frankenstein's that's different. That's like it's the girl. It's like I'm not talking about picking the flower. I'm like picking the flower. The petals.
No, I know. It's different. I'm throwing you an example of how a flower could be used effectively as a story.
Sure. Absolutely, but I mean, yeah, absolutely. But what we do here, and that's kind of bugging me, is that okay? So we just kind of we have this beautiful pause where Thaw is kind of coming across their face here. We need to get him to ingratiate himself to her. In an innocent way that again makes us the audience go like, oh no, there's something fishy here, don't fall for it, no. But no, he just picks a single flower in front of her, like literally a flower that's like in her own yard, which to me just seems kind of
that kind of adds insult to injury. I agree.
And that's the thing,
maybe it would have been more agreeable if it was like along the walk home or something. But yeah,
exactly.
It's literally in her front yard, and to paraphrase Sideways, she lights up like a pinball machine for it.
But yeah, you follow me though. That's the thing. So the flower,
I totally follow you. I 100% follow you.
Like yeah. I'm going to give you a better example of the flower move. A perfect example of it. El Dorado. There's a bit in the montage in El Dorado where Tulio and Shell are having their night out. It's a little bit. It's a part of a montage, and it's like a flea minute. He picks a flower and gives it to her. But again, he's got swagger when he does it, and more importantly, it's a joke because when he gets into the flower, all the fancy El Dorado, we reveal the flowers like birds around like this little pitiful like dandelion thing as they all fly away from revealing it's a pathetic flower, and that makes her laugh. That's a perfect use of the flower trope.
Totally.
Here again, it's just they pick it right in front of you and give it to you, and we need her to accept this because that's how it's been done. So it's not their fault that they're using this, but it's their fault that again we've done so well visually through all of this. Again, it's the one thing again we're having some modern commentary on the first date of it all, but then we do something like this, which is kind of pulling from the old well. Like, I mean, guys, you're better than this.
Dragon, would you like to hear a little antidote that, like, it kind of relates to this? Like, it's not specifically flowers, but it relates to like gift giving and my personal experiences with that in terms of relationships.
I mean, if you feel comfortable sharing it, sure.
No, I feel totally comfortable sharing it. So this dates all the way back to the year 2004, specifically November 2004. Dragon, do you know? Can you think off the top of your head of anything that went down in November of 2004?
Oh god, now you're putting me on the spot. All right, November 2004. I'm thinking. God,
November 2004.
I'm trying to think. Did Incredibles come out in November?
Yes, The Incredibles. Yes, you got it.
Right, it was November because usually, obviously, it's November or the earlier month. But yes, Incredible.
Okay, so Dragon, this was specifically the day that The Incredibles came out in theaters, and I was going to go see The Incredibles the day that this day after school.
So like Dragon, November 5th or something.
What
was it, like November 5th or something?
Something like that, yeah. So Dragon, there's this girl in my class, and we had a couple classes together, and we actually got upgraded to a higher level English class together. So we were kind of known as like, hey, those are like the new kids that got promoted up to a higher level, and they're younger than us. That means they must be smart. So the Dragon, and we got along. We totally like kind of hit it off, and I had a crush on this girl for a long time. I really did. So as the semester was winding down, because we're Christmas break is coming up and everything, I guess we had some sort of raffle or giveaway or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I won this dumb robotic like walking like pig thing. I know it sounds.
You mean like Kaylee Ehrmantraut? You got the pig.
What?
You mean like Kaylee Ehrmantraut from the Albuquerque verse? The dancing pig thing?
Yeah, kind of something like that. Yeah, sure.
Oh my god, you could have stopped gunmen coming into your house with that thing.
Okay, so Dragon, point being, like, I had next to no interest in it, but this girl that I liked was like, oh my God, it's so cute. So Dragon, thus, at age 14, Tiki pulled his first quote unquote move. I was like, you want it? By all means, have it. And Dragon, I got myself a hug that day.
Okay, I'm not quite seeing the correlation to The Incredibles, though.
Oh, the correlation to The Incredibles is simple. I was like super proud of myself for pulling off that move, and I was like, yeah, I'm stoked. Basically, Dragon, of course, the relationship didn't amount to much more than like awkward, like, you know, giving each other cutie faces, you know, across the room. But the correlation with The Incredibles is that I went to go see The Incredibles, like all pumped up about that, you know, all pumped up that I had made my first move. It seemed to have really worked. And I was watching The Incredibles, and Dragon Violet Parr is like, again, a 14-year-old girl, same age as the girl I had a crush on, very much a similar character to you know, this girl had long black hair. She was shy. She was reserved. She was smart. So Dragon, that's one of the reasons why Violet Parr is a character that I relate to so much, is that it kind of brings me back to that, you know, to the innocence of 8th grade, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I'm going on a real tangent here, but point being, Dragon, my whole point is, I feel like a cute, cuddly, robotic pig is a much more effective thing to give a girl, especially if she's obviously, like, if you have it and she's obviously into it. It's like, yeah, here, free brownie points. There you go. You know what I mean?
I see.
All right, I'm so sorry, Dragon. I like I said, I kind of went into this podcast. Well, Tiki's going to reminisce about relationships now. Anyway,
I'm going to spare some romantic fails at the movies, but we're going to move past that. So, anyway, let's see. Okay, we have to pick the flower bill. I'm going, yeah. Beyond that, so basically, this scores our guy an invitation inside. So again, she's taken the leap. Importantly, again, so all this anxiety over, like, again, she's trying to call it a night in that moment, and she's won over by the flower. She's kind of throwing caution to the wind, and invites our guy inside. And
we got a good 20 minutes out of that flower. Holy crap!
And importantly, we have the misdirect here. And the misdirect of the obsessed first state enters the inner sanctum, where again we, the audience, are kind of tricked into thinking like, oh no, she's let this guy with this agenda, and like kind of this, he's built a life form after the first date. He's entered the inner sanctum. Like, oh no, things could go wrong, or it could just be the beginning of stuff going wrong. It's points. It's not good. It's not good for business.
Yeah.
So then, but importantly, and I love this. We're still shooting this from the outside with this really great use of the window of the house. So basically, everything can be seen from the outside using this big window we got to kind of like on the exterior of the house. We don't enter the house; we see it from the outside. We enter the house maybe for like one shot, where we just look at the chandelier. But at points, it's all like you would still see all this stuff by looking from the outside. It's the point. So the point is, you're still this outside view, and then he has this great line that says, "But the wire that binds me to her is razor sharp. Its ferocity cuts me, and I bleed for her. I bleed for her. Was it willingly, or I bleed for her waiting? I bleed for her waiting.
I bleed for her, comma, waiting.
Right. I bleed for her waiting.
Mm.
What choice do I have? She has to be ready." Emphasis on she has to be ready. Then we see a shot of all the flowers that she's put inside the house, and we see the corkscrew. The corkscrew made me really afraid.
Would you dare say they're pretty flowers?
I would.
I'm sorry, I'm just desperate to get some humor into this.
Okay, but all seriousness though, I do. The corkscrew did the corkscrew get you worried? Because we saw the corkscrew there. I don't know. I was a little worried there. Oh God, how dark is this going to turn dark?
I mean, I didn't think we were going to see a murder or anything, but I definitely think the corkscrew was put in there to kind of put you on edge, as with every single other thing in this 8-minute film.
No, but the corkscrew is actually for a bottle of wine. The two of them are drinking wine. They're watching a movie together. Then we have the big reveal as we see a man. We basically revealed the narrator this whole time. At least what it's suggesting is that the narrator this whole time was a man standing outside watching them through that big old window, watching them in shadow. It's a great shot. It's a brilliant shot. Just like then again, everyone's in frame. Like two of them are in frame on the inside watching it, and they're completely unaware, not looking at our guy. They're looking angularly. They're looking just at an entirely different direction at the TV, where our guy's just kind of watching them without being noticed. But again, after the line being said, she has to be ready. As in, again, now basically with that line, then of course this visual you put the pieces together, you start connecting the dots. At least what's suggesting here is that the direct interpretation is you thought it was this guy. It's actually the stalk. It's actually a stalker who's been following the whole time. You go back and you see all these shots are like from a distance, and this stalker most likely following her and having this pre-existing relationship and fascination with her in some variety, and she has to be ready. That he's waiting for her. He's at a point where he's just waiting for her. He's just waiting for her to accept him, and that's why he's like stomaching all these other dates in the meantime. And a question of like, could something go wrong here? Absolutely. The music's great here as well. The scores just keep getting better as it goes on. We do the reverse shot here, where we have the reverse shot of the out of focus man. Basically, we do a reverse shot, so we see him from the inside. Now she's in the inside, and we're focused on Katie Garland's face as she's drinking wine, everything, getting comfy, chatting up her guy, and then of course our stalker's out of focus, and then we shift the focus back, and basically she takes note of the man, and she turns, and he's gone.
Almost ready.
Perfect. Again, it's just I love that. Again, we see the uneasiness on her face, and she turns, and he's gone. But again, now here's the interpretation of it. Again, you can look in the literal sense, and again, it works either way. The literal sense, it's a stalker who, again, pulled the vanishing act on, which is really imposing. She's almost ready. Like she's not there yet, but I'll make my move one of these days. Or you could look at it in the, I believe the intentional way it's supposed to go. I think it's a way it's going to be lost in a lot of people. And I think it plays fine either way. I think what the direct interpretation is that she's almost in a place where she can get past the worries of dating. She herself is still seeing and getting this sense of someone following her, the sense of doubt being personified by this imaginary stalker in her mind. And that's the fact that she's still seeing this guy, the fact she's still imagining this guy is kind of waiting outside. But again, he does disappear at the end, so there's a little bit of hope. She's almost ready. She's not quite at that place yet, but she's on her way. So that was my other read on it. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of two minds of it. I think the most obvious read on it is the actual stalker, right?
Yeah.
There be physical stalker. I feel like that's the most direct read. However, I feel like the read that bears the more interesting kind of meat on its bones is that the stalker is metaphorical. The stalker is in her head. The stalker represents the metaphorical becoming of what a relationship could turn into, and that toxicity, that fears. And so that's the reading that I would personally like to buy into. I honestly think the stalker thing is probably a little bit more likely, but again, I do think that this does have some, I think there's some validity in the fact that this thing is open-ended, right? Like it's definitely meant to be like a spinning top moment of like, no, don't cut to credits now.
It's like, unless you're Batman, you're not going to disappear that fast. It's like, it's question like, like it was from a distance, but it was like, who vanishes like that?
So then in the immortal words of Kevin Smith Dragon, after we get that, fucking credits. All right. So
I guess final thoughts for me. It's this is ridiculously well conceived. Also, we have the credits on playing "Little Bird," which is actually a song in French that is translated. Or basically, it was a song that I forget if it's sung in French or if it's basically it's adapted from French. Anyway, my final thoughts on this again. I just echo my earlier sentiments. This is ridiculously well conceived and well executed visually and narratively. It has again a lot of angles you can look at it from. I think all of them are all valid in some way, shape, or form. You kind of have it both. You kind of have your cake and eat it too if you really want to be. If you want to have it all, it's it's about kind of insecurity meeting overconfidence. That's kind of what it's like. We have insecurity on her end. We have overconfidence with again the male perspective, whether that's like her inferring that male perspective, what her fears of like what a relationship could become, or like the dangers within a relationship. Again, it's all about taking a risk. It's all about, again, what about one thing becoming another. It's about the evolution in the beginnings of a relationship, or good intent becoming menacing, or good intent becoming poisoned by either realities, either just kind of the way we perceive things. Because yeah, like visually, like on the surface, just what we have, like mute the dialogue. What you have is just a couple going on a day. I mean, this thing beautiful would even play with. It wouldn't play as interestingly, but it would play just in terms of like kind of a beautiful like kind of performance piece. Just like seeing them like a date go on without any dialogue. Again, that's kind of a mark of yet another good thing when you have scenes that can play on mute. Of course, you don't have like the full effect here, but you still have like a performance. You can definitely read exactly everything that's going on in this performance. Like she's uneasy, and we see again visually someone is falling. And basically, you get the direct stalker thing, but again without all like you don't have the big red herring moment. But on the whole, Katie Garland, back to her. She's our anchor point. She's our driving force through all of this. She's kind of on kind of one of the poster, and just here for a reason. She's acting without the aid of dialogue. Without she doesn't have the benefit of verbalizing her charm. She's got to epitomize charm, but also deep vulnerability, and I think she does that wonderfully. And I think out of all the pieces we've covered, don't get me wrong, we've had some fun stuff with her. I mean, the other stuff kind of speaks to what you and I are used to with Katie Garland, but I think this digs a little deeper. This digs to man, she has the chops to do other stuff, man. I mean, again, like we've had mainly comedy pieces with her, but again, she's got dramatic stakes. She can do it all. It's not just like not every actor has to do both dramedy and comedy, but again, it's really I think it marks a uber talented one when they can do both, and they can just kind of really reflect the piece. An actor at their best is adaptable and can just kind of bring the piece to life, whatever that piece is. And I think she epitomized that. Again, an evolution within kind of what we've seen of her this month, and this whole piece about evolution with becoming. I think it all speaks for itself in a way.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, Dragon, this is definitely something that got under my skin, made me think, made me kind of like examine myself as a man and kind of some of the choices I've made and mistakes I've made along the way. And goddamn, I feel like that's a very powerful piece of media in order to get me to feel those things and have those emotions and really kind of like, get myself to look at myself in the mirror like that. And I definitely feel like that's one of the big intentions of this film. And, I don't feel attacked by it by any means. If anything, I feel like it's helpful, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a what not to do sort of situation, and I'm very much enthralled by it, and I can't wait to talk to Katie about it and get her interpretation of it. And with that, folks, to kind of transition us out of the end here, stay tuned. We're going to be, of course, importantly, Monday instead of our usual Tuesday for the grab bag. We're going to be having a live interview with Miss Katie Mary Garland herself. And Dragon, I'm very much looking forward to that. We should have a lot to go over with her career, how she got involved in Just Giggle. Of course, I definitely think this is going to be a big talking point in that interview because there's so many ways to look at this. I can't wait, Dragon. I can't wait. I'm really excited.
All right, of course, just to get in once before we wrap up, of course, folks, while you're looking into Katie Garland, again, we've mentioned the player on Just Giggle, and this whole thing is the Just Giggle grab bag, another great show on Just Giggle. It is Harley Quinn, the Joker versus the real world. I'd encourage you all to check
that out. Did we forget to do the plug? Really?
Technically, yes.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
So, yes. Someone was really eager to get into
I was eager. You're right.
Okay, but real quick before we go, also just mention. So, Katie Garland, if you loved her here, and you've seen her do drama again. Like we have like the drama. We have the tragedy drama mask. It's also the comedy haha mask. So let's talk about that for a second with Harley Quinn, the Joker versus the real world, where she plays Carmela, the friend of Addison, who is a character who is the roommate to Joker and Harley Quinn, who've kind of they've moved from Gotham to LA and they're trying to live life anew, and shenanigans ensue to keep it simple. Watch it, you'll love it. You'll get to episode 5. You're gonna get to the end of episode 5, which is called The Next Generation. I urge you all to watch it and spread it around. Like share it. Get the word out on it, because when it gets to 1 million, because I know it's going to happen, folks. You're going to watch episode 5 and you get to the very end of it. And you're going to be in the you're going to tax your fingers by typing in there. I love this. Can't wait for the next one. When's the next one going to be? I want the next one. You guys are dragging your feet. Where's episode 6? Well, folks, I'm gonna save you all the carpal tunnel in the world right now. I'm gonna tell you where. Episode 6, it's going to be in the can soon, man. Like, they've shot it. Basically, they've shot it. They're editing it. For all we know, at this point, it's done. It's just going to be waiting for episode 5 to hit the million view mark. Emphasis, million view mark. Just people watch it up to 1 million times. Avengers Endgame got to 1 million over a weekend, and that's paying.
Well,
that's paying
no,
top.
Avengers Endgame got to 1 billion in over a weekend. Not a million.
Sorry, yes, and that's right. That's a good point. They got to 1 billion.
Can you imagine if Avengers Endgame only made $1 million opening weekend?
If Endgame got to you got to 1 billion. Again, I know it's not we're not talking Endgame numbers per se, but again, if Endgame got to 1 billion, 1.2 billion, only a matter of 4 to 5 days, roughly. Just viewing it, just again for the best price for free, just watching the video, just watching it and spreading it around and just reveling in a great folks. I mean, Gotham is wrapped up, and you know what? This year is definitely the year of the Proto Joker. But you know, as good as the Proto Joker is, like Joaquin Phoenix, I'm sure is going to be great. An origin piece, like kind of a testament to the character. I'm sure that's going to be all nice and lovely and such. But you know what? Sometimes, darn it, I want a real Joker, and if you're looking for it, look no further. Check out Harley Quinn and the Joker versus the Real World. Watch episode 5. Get up to 1 million views.
It's not Joker.
Yeah, and make the world a better place. It's in your hands. See you then. Of course, next installment of the Grab Bag, we're talking to Katie Garland herself. Again, leave some questions for her in the comments. We'll shout them out. We'll read them to her. You'll help us. You'll answer young curiosities and kind of enrich us with some knowledge. Ain't that a grand thing? Okay.
Yes, it is, Dragon. Yes, it is.
Well, that does it for this reach into the Just Giggle Grab Bag. Until the next exciting interview-filled reach of the Just Giggle Grab Bag.
Pretty flowers for a pretty lady.